You think it's just news, just another headline, just background noise while you scroll or sip your coffee. But the media you consume is not passive, it's a transmitter. And your energy field? It's the receiver. Every word soaked in fear, every image charged with chaos sends a signal, a frequency, a vibration. And your body, your aura, your subtle layers respond. The ancient mystics understood. We don't just eat food. We consume experience. We digest emotion. We absorb vibration. So what happens when your daily diet is conflict, crisis, outrage? Slowly, almost invisibly, your energy begins to fray. Not because you're weak, but because the system is designed to overwhelm. You weren't born to be plugged in 24/7. You weren't meant to carry the weight of every tragedy, every war, every disaster, before you even finish breakfast. Yet that's what happens. And the cost? Disconnection, anxiety, fatigue that goes deeper than sleep can fix. Your energy field, once luminous, starts to dim, and you don't even notice, because everyone around you is dimming too. The danger isn't just what you see, it's what it does to how you see. Repeated exposure to negativity rewires your nervous system. It shifts your baseline. You begin to expect stress, to prepare for conflict, to look for what's wrong, even when things are calm. That becomes your lens, your frequency, your default state. And the media? It profits from that fear. Because a fearful brain is a clicking brain, a reactive brain, an addicted brain. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Your energy is sacred real estate, and you've been renting it out to headlines, ads, influencers, and algorithms. Not just stealing your attention, stealing your essence, dimming your light in exchange for stimulation. You think you're informed, but you're being programmed. You think you're connected, but your soul is drifting. The mind is busy, but the spirit is starving. And it shows up in subtle ways. You snap at someone you love. You wake up tired. You feel anxious in quiet moments. You stop trusting your own intuition. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you've let someone else's frequency override your own. You didn't choose this noise. It was chosen for you. Curated, filtered, and weaponized. Not to inform, but to addict. Not to awaken, but to distract. The more fragmented your mind, the easier you are to influence. When you're tired, overwhelmed, and emotionally scattered, you're more likely to absorb suggestion without discernment. That's when your aura begins to thin, not dramatically, not overnight, but drip by drip, through every scroll, every outrage headline, every silent agreement with fear. And the worst part? You begin to normalize it. You call it staying updated. You say, it's just how the world is. But deep down, something aches. Something sacred remembers what it feels like to be whole, to be tuned inward, to feel peace without earning it. That ache? That's your soul knocking, asking if you're still in there. We've forgotten that spiritual hygiene is just as real as physical hygiene. You wouldn't wear the same clothes for a month without washing them, yet you let emotional residue pile up in your field without a second thought. Negativity clings, energetic gunk builds, and over time, it hardens into mood, mindset, even identity. Until one day, you don't remember what your energy felt like before the noise. If you're starting to sense the invisible weight media places on your mind, hit subscribe and ring the bell. This isn't entertainment. This is energy repair. You don't have to cut off the world to protect your energy, but you do have to choose. Choose what you allow in. Choose what you consume with your eyes, your ears, your attention. Every input is an energetic imprint. And just like food, some things nourish you, while others poison you slowly. Negative media thrives on your nervous system. It hijacks your amygdala, the brain's fear center, keeping you in survival mode, reactive, defensive, overstimulated. And in that state, your energetic field becomes porous. You absorb not just information, but emotion. Not just fear, but frequency. This is how energy gets infected, not by curses or spells, but by constant exposure to chaos. That's why ancient traditions placed such importance on silence, on sacred space, on fasts, not just from food, but from noise, because noise is never neutral. It's either aligning you or scattering you. And if you're scattered long enough, you forget what it feels like to be whole. Modern culture doesn't warn you when your aura is under attack. It celebrates the attack. It monetizes your distress, and then it sells you the antidote in the form of content, consumption, and control. But healing doesn't come from more input. It comes from retreat, from reattuning, from remembering what it means to belong to yourself again. The solution isn't to fear the media, it's to reclaim your sovereignty, to remember that your energy field is not passive, it's intelligent. It responds to intention. It contracts when you betray yourself. It expands when you align. So the real question becomes, what are you attuning to? Every time you consume content, you're tuning yourself like an instrument. Are you tuning to anxiety, conflict, outrage, or are you tuning to clarity, stillness, truth? Just because something is viral doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because it's trending doesn't mean it's true. In fact, many of the loudest signals are designed to drown out the whisper of your own soul. Protecting your energy field is not about building walls. It's about cultivating resonance. When your field vibrates with coherence, it becomes its own defense. You don't need to block everything. You need to filter wisely. You need to become the guardian at the gate of your attention. And like any guardian, you must train. That means learning to pause before you scroll, to breathe before you react, to ask, does this serve my expansion, or does it feed my contraction? Because awareness is armor, and choice is power. And in a world that profits from your distraction, your presence is an act of rebellion. You don't need to escape the world. You need to navigate it differently. The negative influence of media doesn't come from one headline or one post. It comes from accumulated exposure, from letting your awareness be pulled again and again into noise that doesn't serve you. So the work begins here, with conscious consumption, with learning to feel the shift in your body when something lowers your vibration, when something makes you tighter, angrier, smaller. That's not just discomfort, that's data. Your nervous system is talking to you. Are you listening? In ancient traditions, the body was seen as an antenna, tuned not just to physical survival, but to energetic truth. What we now call intuition was once the compass of a soul rooted in silence, and it still is. But to hear it, you have to reduce the noise. You don't have to live in a cave. You just need to create space. Space between input and reaction. Space for breath. Space for choice. Because in that space, your power lives. The power to say no. The power to log off. The power to ask, who benefits from my fear? The media is not the enemy. Disconnection is. The moment you forget your center, you become manipulable. But when you return to that center, again and again you remember, no screen, no story, no algorithm can define you. Most people don't realize the impact until it's already inside them, until the anxiety becomes normal, until sleep feels shallow, until silence feels unsafe. That's how energetic erosion works. Slow, invisible, constant. Negative media isn't just scary, it's sticky. It hijacks attention and rewires the nervous system. It teaches your body to stay in fight or flight, even when there's no real threat. And that's the trap. A body in survival mode can't evolve. It can only react. So the work is not just detoxing your feed. It's resetting your frequency. Through breath, through nature, through stillness. You don't need to quit technology. You need to reclaim sovereignty. You need to remember, you are not your reaction. And you're not here to consume. You're here to create. To choose your inputs with the same care you choose your food. Because everything you let in becomes you. The energy you carry is not random. It's the result of what you tolerate. So start asking, does this nourish me? Not, is it popular? Not, is it trending? Because healing isn't found in the mainstream. It's found in the margins, in the moments you pull away from noise and return to something quieter, truer. Your energy is not a passive field. It's a conversation between you and the world, between your soul and the signals you allow in. Every screen you stare at, every story you absorb, every image you scroll past, it all speaks to your nervous system. It all shapes who you are becoming. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being aware. Because in a world that profits off your panic, stillness is rebellion. In a culture that numbs with distraction, awareness is power. The system doesn't want you grounded, because a grounded being can't be manipulated. So unplug, not to escape, but to remember. Step back, not to hide, but to see. Turn down the noise, not to be silent, but to hear yourself again. You don't need more information. You need more integration, less reaction, more reflection, and above all, protect your field like it's sacred, because it is. Your energy determines what you attract, what you repel, and what you radiate. When you clean it, you don't just feel better. You become better, clearer, lighter, more you. So now the question isn't, how do I avoid negative media? It's, what kind of world am I helping create by what I choose to consume? Because you're not just scrolling, you're voting with your attention. If your thoughts aren't truly yours, then who's been thinking them all this time?